Hello and welcome to round one of PC Division 3 here in season 3 of the FRS. Sunday, we have had a number of fantastic races throughout the weekend, kicking off PC Division 1. We've had Division 2, we've had 4, had so much action all around the league, and now here we are for what's a division very close to my heart, PC Division 3, where it all began for me last season. Of course, it's not quite the same like we had in Division 3, whereas that was once an entry-level division to this championship. It is now quite far up the ladder. There are 8 divisions in total, and so Division 3 is a very competitive field. Notable here is the Mercedes team of Cooney Stittles and Hamlin. Hamlin, of course, finishing P3 in this very division last season. And two Stittles entering late on, but fantastic performances, including a P2 in qualifying at Japan. Of course, the rest of the grid is definitely not much as well. I see already in chat, a lot of people are excited to see Adiman take to the pink of the Racing Point. See what he's able to do in that, whether he can qualify well in the field. And Bob Nelio in the Aston Martin, obviously head steward in the FRS, and always been fantastic in terms of organisation and putting the league together. Get to see him take the Red Bull out for a spin. Hopefully not a literal spin, but get the idea. We'll see what he can. And then, of course, could not introduce a grid of drivers without mentioning the Scuderia Ferrari of the Wandle, who some of you may know as being a famous name in this league for driving on keyboard. Now, I cannot imagine how that is even possible to do, but he certainly does, and he is very quick for it. I'll definitely want to watch out for. And of course, with a very packed grid, the divisions are so full right now. And a lot of new names that we won't recognise right now, but I'm sure a lot of these drivers will be looking to make a big name for themselves in the coming weeks. So as we wait for this qualifying session to get underway, I didn't plan for this much. The practice session has gone for 5 minutes now. People are just seemingly lapping for no, and this is messed up my time a little bit because these drivers were meant to retire as soon as they had made sure the connection was solid. No, I think that the practice session's underway. Like, they started early, so everyone was there. It's just there's a couple of drivers who are doing random laps. So once that's done, we will get right into the qualifying session and have a look at the pace of these drivers. And we are into qualifying session. It is a beautiful day over in Interlagos, Brazil. Skies are blue, sun is shining, probably heating the track surface nice and well so that these cars will have optimal grip on their tyres. And as you wait for the first cars out of the garages, and there we go. Seems like a Ferrari is the first one to brave the track, and that will be the Ferrari of the one goal, our keyboard warrior. Well, let you go on board from out the pit lane and see how this fares. A bit shaky, but does certainly drive fast in that Ferrari. I'll see what I can do in terms of volume. Is that any better? There we go. I'll just try moving my mic a little bit closer to my face so a little bit sound there. Of course, there's not expect to be too much to see on these outlaps. You might see drivers doing a little bit of weaving, try to warm the tyres, especially through the third sector, and then as you come through, start the third sector, you want a good run out of Juntao, so you take the maximum amount of speed as you cross the line to start the lap. Here we go. One goal. First car, go out and set a time. I put the timing information up for you there. Across the line he goes. Going through into the Senna S. You want to try and take quite a late apex through the first corner so you can catch T2 well and get a nice run through this sweeper onto the back straight, second DRS straight on this track. You see the rear wing opens right up. You gain a lot of speed there from the introduction of drag now through into turn 4. Got to commit to this one a lot, and you can see quite close to the inside you want to be from through T6. A very fast sweeping right-hander. Got to be brave on that one before quite a harsh braking zone into the twisty middle sector. As we follow through, gotta try and make sure to get a nice run through that, and then hard on the brakes. A little bump on the road there, you can easily spin out if you don't too much onto traction, especially if you're playing on keyboard, and then Juntao. A famous corner on this track, carry as much speed as possible, but focus on the exit because it's 1.3 kilometers from here to T1. So this run to the line, you want to have maximum speed, hood the inside on the way, and it is a 108.0, our first time of the session. Perky comes along right behind, 8 tenths down. Perky 3 tenths down. We will hop on board with Cooney Seals, who has actually invalidated and let some cars past. As the time board starts to fill up, Galley in the Williams goes best with a 107.8 right now. Behind, let's go on board with Sienna Bob, who is also sweeping through. Air Jordan and Natchat both go purple through this first sector. So through this first attempt, then Sienna Bob with a 108.9 slots into P5. Hamlin did notably stay in the pits for quite a while, on outlap, and now sweeping through turn 1 we get to see what the Division 3 pace from last season this season. Board for this one through T4. Missed the apex a little bit, that's going to cost him a heap of time, but try and carry the speed through. Then try and clip both the apexes here. That first one, not quite. The second one, much better. Heavy into here. Wanted a little blip on the throttle to open up this sweep in turn 9, and then be careful on the exit if you want to get the power down as early as possible. And again here, careful of that bump, but traction is an important aspect of getting that corner right and getting it fast. Now through Juntao, you want to take a little bit of that. Don't want to take too much of the outside curve, it's not that much faster. Hamlin seems to have put together the second half of this lap pretty well. That first half might cost him a little bit. Let's see where it slots into the timing board. Across the line, it will be a 108.2, right about in the middle of the pack so far. I know everyone wants to see how Addy's doing. Addy's sweeping through the second sector right now with a 16.6 first sector. That's pretty respectable. Now, sweeping through to start the third sector, 51.2. Goes purple in the second sector, according to this game here. I know the game tries to hand out purple middle sectors with reckless abandon, but if that is to be believed, this could be quite a strong lap from the number 68 Racing Point, heading right to the inside across the line, and it is! It's pole position by 0.02 of a second. Provisionally, what a lap from Addyman there. That was a very impressive lap, and the chat is going wild, I can see already. Anyone able to respond to this? Trini Shields is coming out of the pit lane. No, Alan this is in lap, but Trini Shields is coming out of the pit lane for a second attempt after invalidating his first lap and backing off. Would be the one to watch as the rest of the field files into the pits after their first attempts. The benefit that Trini Shields has here is that he knows what his target is. He knows he wants to get into the 107s, preferably as low as possible, in order to have a chance of qualifying top few rows of the grid. Sweeping through the first sector. Again, it hurts when you invalidate a banter whip. It means that you have to be a little bit more cautious in future runs to make sure that you do get a lap in. Of course, you want to try and maximise for every possible 10th, but it's most important that you get a time representative so that you're not starting on the back row of the grid. You see the Mercedes here sweeping that sector. What these camera angles don't show you is just how bumpy this infield section is. You gotta be so cautious. And I know we haven't seen much of Trini Shields yet. He joined quite late in the season, last time out. Got some stellar pace when he wants to show it. Will he be able to show it on this lap here? Again, hooding to the inside, coming across the line, it will be a 107.4! And there we go. That is the pace that he has inside that Mercedes, showing provisional pole by more than a 10th over Addyman right now. Of course, there's still more than 10 minutes in session, plenty of time to make a response, and as the track starts to rubber in, you might expect it's just a little bit faster. So that's something that will definitely play into Trini's hands. Go watch out for his teammate here, who is currently on an outlap. Have, I believe, Sienna Bob just starting the lap now. Through the first sector, and goes purple through the first sector, up by 0.2. This could be a lap to watch. Sienna Bob, something of a veteran in the lead, and so on a track that is very well known to a lot of these drivers. Practice on this track a lot because it's such a fantastic track to drive. You could see this experience start to shine. Coming through turn 10, how fast will this second sector be compared to the first sector? It was already up 0.2. Across the second sector line, it is up by 0.6 over his previous best. That is another purple sector, and this could be a provisional pole time in the low 107s. Currently just outside the top 10, but will come across the line and set a 107.6. It's not quite enough. Drop to 10th or 2 in that final sector and slots into P3. Still a second religion, definitely a good place to springboard from in an attempt at that pole position. See some other cars come across the line. You've got Addyman looking to start a lap. Oh no, that's his teammate slotting in, just P5, just a little bit behind. Next car across the line will be Lord Bulk, I believe. And no, to a Bolt like that decides to go into the pits. So, Addyman on out of 20 sector, a little bit too early to hop on with him. Instead, let's go on board with Addyman, who was actually almost half a second up on the second sector flip, but not a great banter time. Actually goes wide on the exit, crossing to P11, but the fact that he went wide there suggests that would possibly be looking for 2 laps in a row. It's something you can do with this. It's a short track. The tyres don't take too much wear in qualifying, but no. That's just frustration from Hamlin, not really able to get the maximum out of that car as it is. So we will look on board to Adiman, who starts his second flying lap in this qualifying session. Nice run through turn 3. What will this first sector time be? It will be a 16.7, a tenth down on the previous best, but as the track was in the middle sector, should be going a fair bit faster, and that is really where the time can be gained. He's just over a tenth off of pole position right now. A nice shunt out of that apex of turn 8 and stay right to the inside in turn 9. If you go too far wide, it runs off camber and you just get massive understeer. So putting the inside there is definitely valuable. And again, here just to minimise the distance you have going into Jontai, you can take a very wide line there, up 2.5 tenths now, and that was a purple sector. Being up 2.5 tenths would be provisional pole if he can hold it through this third sector. Comes across the line. What will the time be? It will be a 7.3, and indeed does reclaim provisional pole position from the Mercedes of Tony Stiddles. And this looked like a very strong showing in qualifying from Adiman so far. Much of the field still in the pits. We'll hop on board with the $1 keyboard warrior, who is up 69,000, so down 69,000 on his previous best. That's not really where you want to be. But again, lots of improvement could be made in the second and third sector if he is attempting to make a lap here. Have a look. Oh, running a little bit wide today. You can see the car just understeers if you catch too far outside. Through turn 9. That's going to lose a fair bit of time here. And this might not be an improvement for Ferrari driver. And indeed, down a tenth and a half. Could try and push that. That looked aggressive through the Fusion Tower to try and get the power down as early as possible. Just reclaim the time, but it's not good enough, and he decides to head into the pits and abort that run. Now just a few cars out on track. Air Jordan, out of nowhere, jumps into P3. Teammate coming across the line to start a lap now. Instead, his teammate. There we go, sweeping through sector 1. We saw the other runner just jump onto the second row of the grid just now. Unfortunately, not able to give that much of a tow through there. But his teammate is up a tiny amount through the first sector. Could be a strong showing. The two McLaren's also out on track, but not having a great time of it so far. Currently occupying the last 2 spots on the grid as things stand. And if we do keep an eye on the time boards, we will see. But Stodds has jumped up into P2 from there as well. That's another strong showing. And have to watch out for those cars as they start to filter out of the pits for the final attempts. We've seen a lot of cars pop back in. Actually, Trinity Stiddles is going to be on a lap here. They decided to go out and try and awkward time. In fact, there might not be time to go back into the pits and then out for another lap. Retro goes P2 with that performance, not started back onto the second row of the grid. And these times are just dropping like flies right now. Truly the only driver on a competitive lap other than possibly Turkey, but judging from that banter time, there may not be too much improvement to expect there. Yes, I do come across the line and yeah, stays in 16th place. While Tony coming through the second sector. The time board starts to light up with drivers, even the pits for their outlaps, and a couple actually starting their final attempts at the podium, at a pole position here. Tony up by just a hair. Second sector split. This has to be a good launch. See if any improvement, or you might opt to pull a note. Across the line. Is it an improvement? It's an improvement. It's by 25 thousandth of a second, but it is enough to jump 1 position on the board. That's how close it is. Because by doing that, it might now be a stretch to try and get another run out of these, but he might have used all 3 sets of softs that he's picked, so might not be too much of a concern. With Aryan going to be streaking through the 3rd sector, another one of the drivers who's gone out quite early for the final run, able to notch an improvement. P9, you don't really want to be starting P9. You rather have access to the alternate strategy or front of the grid. And there we go, managed to get into P7. Teammate down a spot. And that teammate is on outlap and is looking to make an improvement. Also, filtering out of the pits is our provisional pole position Addyman. Able to see a strong showing there. Lightbot has invalidated this lap, so we'll look to recharge a little bit before making a final run at pole position. Yeah, Foki, who is almost a 10th up going through the 1st sector. Actually, Cinnabon Nelio has put back into the pits. Quite interesting. I don't know if he's made contact and need a replacement front wing there. Might just about be enough time to run an outlap before the end of this session, but he's going to be cutting it close, so Cinnabon Nelio could be in trouble. Rookie 90 actually goes purple through the sector if the game's to be believed. This could be a strong lap from a driver who hasn't shown very much so far in this session. The Alfa Romeo comes across the line, and it will not be an improvement. It'll actually be 8 thousandths behind the time they previously set. Watch on board with Addyman, currently our pole position. But the driver behind still on outlap, so this is a chance to set a mark that the rest of the drivers have to beat, of course. You expect the track to rubber in as the handles on and get a little bit faster, but we might be at a point where it's already close to an optimum, so he shouldn't get too much disadvantage from running this a slight bit earlier. The only problem he could have is that if this Williams is doing a little bit of dirty out, I think Garley is also on an attempt, so there's no obligation to over. And he could give a little bit of a toe down this long run to the line, see if he's able to make an improvement on this. But right to the inside. Oh, actually, decides to run a little bit wide, maybe going for a 2nd attempt. That lap is a 10th down, it's not good enough. And Garley actually, just ahead, almost takes pole position from him. So, and Stodd has invalidated. Wrecker follows behind and is just going to be starting a lap. So again, Addy is going to be crossing the line before anyone else. Actually, is up by a 10th and a half coming through the 1st sector. So he's going to have 2 runs. He's going to another shot improving that time. But if Wrecker is able to improve behind, might not be enough. We also have Stodd's behind currently on a lap, I believe. That's Lazzo pulling into the pits in the other Alpine. No, it is Stodd's not able to make an improvement. So let's see what Addyman can do. Garley has already slowed up on this lap, so there's no competition there. And unless everyone else can make a jump from out of nowhere, maybe Hamlin, but right now Addy's looking in prime position to take this if Wrecker cannot respond. Addyman coming through 3rd and final sector. This time Hood's right to the inside, across the line, and it is not an improvement. It would be enough for pole, but wasn't. And Wrecker has invalidated. So despite not being able to make an improvement in those final runs, Addyman has claimed pole position for this Brazilian Grand Prix by a slim margin of less than 0.03 of a second. The field spread here is incredible. You have from 1st to 13th separated by about 4 tenths. It's a truly incredible performance. Everyone here, but it's Addyman who takes pole position from Garley, Wrecker, Cooney Stiddles, Gogs, Air Jordan, Natrak, Aryan, Cinnabon Nelio, and Andrew Orthodox. One thing that I haven't checked is that everyone did set their lap on soft compound tyres. As expected, they are. With the field this tight, you don't want to be opting for the mediums, but what it does mean is that everyone in the top 10 will have to start the race on that tyre if it is a dry race. So maybe Addy's thankful that he didn't improve in that final run where he took 2 laps, because it didn't end up being necessary, and it means that he can start the race on slightly fresher tyres. Otherwise, there he is, Addyman, your pole sitter for today's race. and welcome back. We are about to get our Brazilian Grand Prix underway, and I will be joined by a co-commentator for all of the action here today. I am joined by Mark Hopkins. How are you today, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, doing good, thanks. Sorry, I got my timing mixed up, and I think I've missed qualifying now. So I suppose we can go through and see where everyone is, just on the formation lap at the moment, I imagine.
Yep, absolutely. We're just getting the formation lap started, and it is Addyman on pole position, something that is making the chat very happy right now.
Ye-
Definitely a fan favourite.
Yeah, well, he got. I think he was supposed to be in Division Two, and then got moved down to Division Three due to timing issues. So Um, I suppose he's got the pace of Div 2, and he must have proved that in qualifying. We'll see what kind of race pace he has. Of course, a lot of these guys, you've got to remember, probably haven't been in leagues before. Some of them, like Sienna Bob and the One Goal, certainly have. Um, but race pace is a lot more important, obviously, in the league. And I think some people overestimate actually how long some of these races are.
That can certainly be the case. We have 36 laps coming up for you today. Um, as for the strategy, you see four cars in the bottom half are starting on the medium compound tyre, as is their choice, for being one of the worst qualifiers in the previous session. Definitely strategy I expect from a lot of these drivers is the soft true compounds, soft onto medium or medium soft. Although, of course, it could be disrupted by any safety cars that we have, or indeed, if the weather decides to take a turn. It is very sunny right now, but Brazil is known for sometimes having downpours come from nowhere, and so that's definitely something to watch out for in this race.
Yeah, we saw we saw people starting outside the top 10 actually doing quite well. MJ Povey in Division 1 and Rage in Division 2. So don't count anyone out starting from 11th or backwards on medium tires.
Absolutely, and here we have the lights coming on. Start of this race, it is lights out and away we go. And it looks like Addy has managed to get a good getaway and will lead the pack through turn one. And do we have any instants further down the field? We have the cars going three wide, but it looks like everyone has just about made it through cleanly. A couple of cars stalling on the grid a little bit, but for the most part, everyone seems to be okay. We have actually dropped. Oh no, the Williams of Gali, who qualified in P2, has had a lot of trouble early on and is
Yeah,
stopped at the back of the
it, look,
pack.
it just looked like he got swallowed up there. I don't know how bad of a start he got, but it just seemed like everyone overtook him, and he must have had an incident.
Oh,
Unfortunately, when that happens.
we had Natchat trying to make a move on the inside of Stodds here. Stodds qualified very well. Oh, and they're still side by side. They're fighting all the way through, and Aryan as well didn't caught up in it, and that is Stodds round fighting it a little bit too hard. Wondor's managed to make it up to P7 already from quite a low start. Let's get the deltas up. There we go. Wondor gone up 4 places off the start, Hamlin up 5. But Addyman from pole needs to field through for the first of 36 laps around Interlagos.
Yeah, and crucially, he's already a second up on Cooney's Gills. That's going to be helpful when they come round the following lap and the DRS starts.
Absolutely. There are 2 DRS straights on this track, of course. One on the start finish straight and one after the Senna S. So it can be difficult sometimes if you make a move on the start finish straight. The car can just come sweeping back
And
around you on the
Sienna
second
Bob is all
opportunity.
over the back of the one goal here. Looked like he was going to make a move. Nothing really he can do now. He's just going to just let the rest of the track come by as one of the Force Indias of Andrew looking up the inside there. Not really anywhere to pass here. You've just got to keep it together. But Sienna Bob's going to be a little bit disappointed that now he's got the one goal in front of him on medium tyres. It's going to slow him down quite a bit.
Absolutely, it's definitely something to watch out for. You want to basically hold position on the mediums if you can the first stint, gain to places if possible, but the race comes to you right at the end, so this will definitely be important for Wondol to try and do as much as possible, but Stenabov on the soft tyres with the DRS. is... Oh no, there's no DRS till net straight, but Wandle makes the move anyway. Great showing there. And Wandle with a puff of smoke through turn 1. Those brakes locking up without being able to trail brake a little bit with that keyboard. And possibly a little bit of time there. Wandle streaking... Sorry, Bob streaking away a little bit.
Sienna Bob's on the hunt for Hamlin now, who's dropped a little bit off the pack. Was Div 3 last season. Was certainly quick enough to challenge Timalele somewhat during for the championship. But he seems to be under quite a bit of pressure here from the driver who was previously in Division 1. Certainly has the pace. And we'll have to see what happens when they come around again. But Sienna Bob looking to be hounding him a little bit, and one goal maybe hoping to find his way through.
So the TOB's getting a good run through Juntao. On straight 1.3 kilometers full throttle here.
And back at the front, Cooney Skittles is making a move on Adiman. He's going round the outside. Adiman trying to hold up the inside, but he's done it already. And Cooney Skittles takes the lead of the race.
And that's the power of DRS. Addy might try and fight back here. He will have the DRS through the second straight. Does he have the speed to do it? It doesn't look like it. And Cooney will hit the race lead and keep it.
Yeah, Adiman just couldn't follow him through the Senna S's. Just didn't have the speed. Wasn't close enough down that straight to grab that place back. And yeah, it was interesting. Adiman took a whole second over Cooney Skittles at the start of the race. And then Cooney Skittles, I don't know if he's used a lot of his ERS up. It looks like he has in comparison to Adiman, but managed to grab that time back.
Absolutely. Addy will be looking to stay close.
Pulling away as well.
Yeah, could see a bit of a DRS train forming between the two of them. Gets him away from the rest of the field. Addy actually is very close and is looking to make the move back. Coming around, does have DRS this time round. Has the outside line for turn 1. Has to be late on the brakes to make sure and get around the outside two shields. And it looks like the move has been done. But once again, the run through this Senna S is so important. If Cooney gets a good run, it could mean just moving straight back past for turn 4. He has a lot of overspeed. They're going to be side by side in the braking zone. He's got the inside line, and it looks like he's going to hold on. Adiman chooses to concede that one and fight out another lap.
Well, interesting to note that Cooney Skittles is basically ran out of ERS on that straight, whereas Adiman still has 59% of the battery left. So Adiman can keep doing this all day, basically. I think at some point, Cooney Skittles will just not have the battery to be able to defend or re-overtake if need be.
Absolutely, and something you've got to keep up for as well is we're not only managing ERS here, as Turkey actually retires from the race. It's something I've noticed just now. You're not just managing the ERS, but you're also having to manage your tyres a little bit to make sure that you don't use them up too early. Actually saw Wandle tap the dress that it could come under attack from Andrew Orthodox behind on the soft compound of tyre. Might try and make a run, it might be close enough for T1. Actually ahead we have Hamlin and Sienna Bob going side by side. Hamlin has the inside line, Sienna Bob switches back. Oh, and who's going to have the DRS for this second straight? They're going to be side by side coming through the exit of the corner, and it is Hamlin who picks up the DRS. But Sienna Bob's going to try and take it around the outside here. Not going to work out. Meanwhile, behind, Andrew Orthodox seems to have the position over Wandle, but it will be side by side still.
And here comes Sienna Bob back. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside of this corner. He's hanging it round. He's still there. Oh, Hamlin kind of shuts the door on him a little bit. Maybe a tad rude. And there's nothing Sienna Bob can do now. He's just going to have to wait again to come back round. But he is under pressure from Andrew Orthodox, who is looking to go up the inside. At the same time, the one goal is looking to go all the way around the outside. And I think the one goal's made that move stick. Oh, that was absolutely brilliant. Ooh,
Andrew's a little bit wide.
I suppose he does have the right to do that. He did have the racing line. But he is compromised on the exit, and I think Andrew's just going to come straight back at him. And it looks like he has, even before the DRS kicks in. It's given Sienna Bob a lot of breathing space.
A train with these cars. We actually have Andrew Wandle still fighting it out. Oh! And that is an Alpha Tauri who's gone off, and that is Stodds after a a strong qualifying just seems to be getting caught up time and again in various instances.
And at the front, Air Jordan is making some moves. We just saw him go 3 wide with Knack Track and with Arjan.
Natchak
He
and
is
Arjun still fighting
completely.
it out. Arjun might try and hand it around the outside here, can't make it work. Ooh, almost loses the back end. Coming through the start of the second sector. Decides to hold in P6 for the time being. One thing I have noticed as well at the front is while the one of the winners was slicing through the pack, the other has broken away and is now caught up to the back of Adiman. Now a 3-car train at the front, and Adi will have to make sure to stay in the DRS of Tony to fend off Wrecker, who is coming at serious pace.
Yeah, Addyman's fallen back. He's 9/10. He's almost out of DRS zone. Um, and I think him fighting with Cooney has actually just kind of hurt both of them by allowing Wrecker to close up. He was 2 seconds behind. He is now only about half a second behind. Um, as we see, the battle for fourth place is really strong. Air Jordan is completely out of ERS. I mean, it is on zero as he's coming down this straight. It doesn't look like the other two are close enough to capitalise, but Arjan certainly hounding that track.
Absolutely. One thing to watch out for on these cars is that the rear tail light will flash if the car ahead is below 10% ERS or has used all of their deployment for this lap. So if you see that light flash and you know you can attack if you have the resources. I actually noticed that Arjun currently is almost full on ERS on the wheel there, whereas Nattrack ahead about half, and as you said, Air Jordan really struggling to keep energy in that battery, has made a charge ahead of the pack and has actually broken DRS to Nattrack, but could come under pressure if they can catch back up with the aid of that electrical deployment.
I mean, he is still using it up quite a lot. I mean, he's at 0% again, is Air Jordan. But as you said, he has broken that 1 second gap.
And as we're
So,
talking, Curious Diddles is actually falling behind Addyman here and will not be able to make the move. You know, we see Addyman's light is flashing, so running low on ERS, but for the time being, he takes the lead of this race back from the Mercedes of Curious Diddles. That came out of nowhere. I
yeah,
was not expecting a move then.
this is actually quite a lot more action than I was expecting given some of the other races. We've got the two Red Bulls are now next to each other in the standings as Arjan's fallen back a little bit and Sienna Bob's grabbed a couple of places. And Arjan is all over the back of Knack Track. He's just looking to get past. I think he probably thinks he's got the same kind of pace as Air Jordan up front, and he just wants to be able to catch up to them. Air Jordan is slowly catching up to the back of his teammate as well. I wonder if the fight for the lead is just holding all three of them up now.
We actually have Akuni fell back a little bit, coming out of Juntao, and Reka now is hounding the back of Curious Diddles, and so it could be a strap between those two. Let's Addy break away a little bit, despite maybe not having a full battery. Aryan has gotten past Natrat in that DRS zone. Natrat may try to fight back. DRS zone, a good run through the center S. Nice exit, opens up the DRS, and that is a foul of overspeed. Oh, Arjun defends on the inside, and Natrat doesn't have the pace to get around and make the move stick. Besides, Arjun now up into P5. A little bit of a buffer now separating him from his teammate in red.
Yeah, the problem with he'll have now at the moment is that he's going to want to try and catch up to Air Jordan as quickly as possible, but he will probably have to defend on the start finish straight and the next DRS straight as well. And that's just going to hurt his chances, going to slow him down a little bit, allow some of the guys behind to catch up, and that gap between him and the cars in front will increase.
Absolutely, as we see the cars in the lead of this race coming through to start lap 11 now. Really quite close, not being able to make the move through T1, but again, get a good run through this opening sector. Might have a chance with a DRS system. I think they stick
Oh,
before turn 4 and retake the lead.
he's done really well there. He's kept really close to him. He's not using his ERS though, so I wonder if they're playing it a little bit tactical now. Maybe he is just letting Addyman pull away a bit, as Air Jordan has actually fallen back a little bit more off his teammates. So maybe the three of them thinking, let's just pull away, make sure that we are the three that will be fighting for the lead, and then we can battle it out against ourselves a bit later on.
Absolutely. You do want to be careful when you're racing wheel to wheel in a car, because if you do get side by side, you start bleeding tenths every corner, and it does just put you back in the clutch of anyone behind. So a little bit of a truce for the time being could pay off. And of course, after the pit stops are done, maybe some cars looking for an undercut. Once that's done, they can start battling again, and possibly have that time they can afford to lose,
And Wrecker's
gain some
going
of
for a
position.
move on Cooney Skittles. He's
Goes up
going
the
up the
inside,
inside.
lots of brakes, but
Oh,
manages
locks
to.
up a lot. I'm not sure if they
Oh,
made contact, but it certainly put Wrecker out a little bit,
I don't think
and
it
he
was. I think he
dropped
just
back.
had to slam on to make sure it didn't run into anyone else. We actually have Andrew Orthodox making it past Hamlin. They're actually going to go side by side through this corner. Hamlin is right behind, and surely that is going to be an easy move on this DRS straight. Actually, maybe not. And also seemed to burn all of his DRS, but it's been enough to defend the position. There's a little
Oh, a
bit
bit
of
of contact.
contact, almost bump drafting from Hamlin, but Racing Point keeps the position. That's Hamlin down to P9 there. Not really where we'd expect him to be after such a strong showing in this division last season.
Yeah, he's got a 3-second time penalty as well to boot, and Andrew getting some DRS from the car in front, I believe. He is now out of the DRS range. That will allow some of the cars that are formed in a train behind him to get past.
Yeah,
And that, I think, is one of the problems that some of the guys at the front have, especially Wrecker that we saw. If you've got DRS and you know that you're quick enough to overtake the car in front, if they have DRS as well, then it is quite difficult.
absolutely. We start to see the first cars making stops here in this race. Um, Lightbot's gone to the medium tyres. I think actually is now a lap down, so possibly just hoping for a safety car to wheel him back into this race. I was there yesterday. It's not always the most fun, um, but a lot of the drivers still on their starting sets. You've got to be thinking the pit window opens in a lap or two, maybe, if a car wants to try for an undercut.
Yeah, I think lap 14 is probably the first point that you really want to pit. Any earlier than that, and the medium tyres will start to get a little bit uncomfortable towards the end of the race.
Oh,
Lap
and one goal
16,
tries to up the inside of Fuki going through turn 8. It's not quite worked out. A little bit of contact, but it seems to be safe on that regard. Sorry, go on.
yeah, about lap 16 is ideal. But of course, if you wait till lap 16 and everyone pits a lap earlier, there's a chance that they can undercut you. Wrecker not able to catch back up to these guys, actually. I'm not sure if he's got any front wing damage. We'll see as he comes past. But he's 2 seconds behind Cooney Skiddles and doesn't seem to be making any inroads. As we see Knack Track going into the pits, and well, he was battling quite a few people. So I wonder, well, we'll see the effect of the undercut here as he goes in. He's put on the hard tyres, I believe,
Oh, that is
and a front wing change as well.
so possibly an emergency pit stop, and not being sure if those mediums can stretch to the end, but that's going to be unfortunate for the rest of the race. It's going to be bleeding time, especially in the opening of this stint when a lot of cars will be pitting onto fresh mediums and will have about 8/10 a lap over the hard compound. We've run the hardest 3 compounds in the set at this track, so it's the C1 that Natural has to deal with for the next 23 laps, and that will
And
not be fun.
one goal was disconnected. So he's now, well, he's right at the bottom. I don't know if he's had an incident there.
And Kunia still lets it go into the pits, and Vettel behind does the same. Adiman stays out for an extra lap, wants to extend the get fresh tyres for the end of the race, but of course, it puts him at risk of another truck, so you could see a bit of hammer time from Racing Point using all of that deployment, all of the fuel he's got, and just see if he can keep that buffer to the cars behind.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to work out too well for him as we see Cooney Skittles come out. And actually, Records used the pits as a way to close right back up to Cooney Skittles. So I don't know if Cooney's had a poor pit entry or what it is, but Wrecker is now right behind him, and that's not what he's going to have wanted.
Because one thing you have to keep in mind is that a lot of these cars have teammates who are up in the order, and they can't really pit on the same lap. Andrew Orthodox will have to extend for another lap unless he wants to double stack behind and wait for the Racing Point crew to do their work. It's going to be quite a disadvantage for the car behind, but it may be preferable to stay out for a 16th lap on the softs. They might get a little bit slower. Addyman does respond on the following lap. Air
Well, there is
Jordan
a fair
as
gap
well.
between them, so I wonder if it could work out for them.
It's possible, but the pit crews in this game are really slow on double stacks, so it might be something violent. Andrew has opted to stay out and actually inherits the lead of this race, but the battle that
And
we're really watching is between Cooney Steels and Addyman.
here comes Koenigseggs round now as we see the Racing Point leaving the pit lane. Oh, it's
Oh,
going to
it's
be
going to be so
close,
close! And Addyman looks
and they're going to
like he's
race
lost
down
the
to the line.
position, and Cooney Steels has the effective lead of this race now, with only Andrew Orthodox left to stop on the soft compound.
Well, I was saying how close Wrecker was to Koenigseggs, but Koenigseggs is putting a hell of a lap there to pull 1.5 second gap to him. So maybe a little bit of sleep. Didn't think he needed to use full fuel, full ERS, but Koenigseggs has certainly made that work.
I think with how close it was, you might think that if Retro would be able to push and keep up onto the back of the Mercedes, that he might have been side by side with Addyman through turn 4 and might have been able to keep the position. As it stands, provisionally, Retro remains in P3. Andrew Orthodox does pull into the pits at the end of this lap, so Tooney Steels will cross the line to retake the lead of this race. He held it earlier on.
And we see Adiman closing up now, not quite close enough to make a move. Probably thought about it for a split second, but now he's just thinking about keeping as close as
Oh, and
possible,
that's
and
a
he's
good
done a
run.
really good
That's a
job.
very good run. Pulls to
And
the
Cooney not even going to
inside.
defend it.
Absolutely. Fantastic run through center S.
Oh, he's going to
Addyman.
fight back around the outside, and he just gets held out to dry there.
There we go. Addyman does retake the lead of this race. I think Cooney never claimed a lap lead because Orthodox crossed the line before Cooney did, and so the Racing Points in tandem holding on to the control of this race just about. Addyman now in prime position if he can create a little bit of breakaway from Cooney and get this one to the flag.
And one thing that's happened in this pit uh, region is that the second Renault has actually managed to close up to Wrecker now. So 1.5 seconds behind, was about 4 seconds behind. He will start to presumably close that gap and maybe be able to get the DRS and join onto this train a little bit better.
Yeah, but one thing
I,
I do notice is that we haven't seen any medium runners really take control of this race in this middle part of the middle part, because obviously Wandol did did lose a lot of positions in unfortunate fashion earlier, but even Lazzo only holding P8 here despite having not made a stop in this race. So the alternate strategy not really being as powerful as I may have expected coming into this one.
yeah, I think running was quite close, so maybe it was a little bit difficult for them to overtake and get themselves past. Um, we'll see when they come into the pits and put on some soft tyres. Obviously, a safety car within the next 2-3 laps would really help them out, but we'll have to see if anything like that is possible.
Absolutely, the leaders come through and hit the DRS activation, detection I should say. Addyman was over a second ahead of Cooney for a moment, but Cooney seems to have put the hammer down, got back within 1 second, and now has DRS system. Actually claims a fast lap of the race, but Air Jordan behind in the other Renault. Great job, and actually, now possibly making this a 4-car battle. The two Renaults are so close, going through the centre S. Air Jordan is going to have DRS, but Retro Ahead is not going to, and this could be a switch between two Renaults, and it is. Air Jordan.
Yeah, it was smart. Wrecker was losing too much time, and Air Jordan just has a lot more pace than he does at this point in the race. So it's a smart thing. Switch them around. Wrecker can use the DRS to catch up to Air Jordan, and Jordan can use his superior pace to catch up to Koenigseggs ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that some of these drivers might not be used to in terms of lead racing. It's the fact that you do have an assigned teammate on the track, and sometimes it is in the best interest of everyone just to maybe not fight a position, let your teammate do the work, because Air Jordan now over a second ahead of Wrecker and ranging onto the back of top of the front two. So not really too great for Wrecker in the short term, but for the team in the long term, that could be a very, very wise choice as Air Jordan again sets the fastest lap, flying on those medium tyres.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Wrecker behind actually has dropped over a second back. The DRS the DRS train's actually really strong on this particular track. It's very difficult for the car ahead to break away if you've got similar kind of pace. And you sometimes you find that even if you're on mediums and the guy ahead is on softs, you can just use that DRS to keep up with them. Wrecker not able to do that, which I think is a little bit strange. But Air Jordan, if he keeps setting fastest laps, he'll close down that 3/10 until the DRS range.
Absolutely, and of course, with Addy and Tony running quite close together, you might see them use their ERS and their fuel in a way that's not efficient for lap time, just to make sure they have the gap when they need it on the overtaking opportunities. But that could let Air Jordan focus on getting the fastest possible laps. It'll let him join this train. He's only a tenth back from this battle right now. Obviously, Tooney will have DRS to extend that gap just a little bit, but it's surely a matter of time for us a three-way battle for the lead.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a train between Andrew Orthodox and the cars behind. He's got Sienna Bob right behind him, Hamlin just behind that, and then Knack Track is kind of holding on at the end. Knack doing a little bit better on those hard tyres than I expected him to have. The hard tyres definitely not optimum, and especially at the time that he pitted, he very easily could have gone onto mediums and made them last. That is one of the differences between those that are quite new to the series and those that have been here for quite a while, is that you kind of learn that any strategy call that Codemasters has, you can probably do better.
Yeah, I believe what happens here is that often if you join with fresh tyres, it will recommend the soft medium, but if they are worn from qualifying, it won't think you have the distance to make them. But with the experience of lead racing, you really should have an idea of how to manage tyres and get as much out of them as possible. You can rely on the substitute compound. So a lot of tracks where I might not expect it to be viable. I know Bahrain is a very big challenge for some drivers, but have been cases in this lead of people making the soft medium work, and it's paid off for them.
And we have a look down at the standings now. So Adiman still in the lead. Cooney Skittles just kind of staying within DRS of him, not quite close enough to make any
Oh, and
moves.
Addy's picked up a penalty now, multiple warnings, and that will make this battle a lot more difficult to fight, knowing that at some point he's got to break a 3-second window to the cars behind, hold on to the lead of this race.
And Cooney just went off the track there. I imagine he would have got at least a warning for that one. So really for Cooney, it's just a case of damage limitation here. It's just stay behind, don't do anything too silly, and just make sure you don't pick up a penalty yourself. As for the guys behind, we've got Air Jordan. His pace has kind of dropped off a little bit. He's not able to catch up so much with these guys. In fact, I think he is dropping off a little bit. Wrecker has now got quite a distance between him and his teammate in front. Arjan is slowly catching up to Wrecker, but he's got a big breathing space in front, big breathing space behind. For him, it's going to be basically hot lapping till the checkered flag. Probably not too much action for him. Behind them, we've got Andrew Orthodox, and Sienna Bob has actually dropped back a little bit. He's now 1.5 seconds behind, has also got a time penalty. And Knack Track has gotten past Hamlin. We'll be looking to get past Sienna Bob as well.
Yeah, Nata's doing really well in these hard tyres. Not something I expected, especially while he's fighting against medium runners that are also fresh and have the best of their tyres, but it looks like the raw pace of Nata may be offsetting the strategic disadvantage that these hard tyres are giving. But now holding firm in P8, back in the battle for the field, Cooney is about 9/10 back and has picked up a penalty himself. And so and he can move a little bit easier, but Air Jordan is still within that 3-second window that Adiman has to watch out for.
Yeah, Adiman will breathe a small sigh of relief as he knows that he basically no longer has to pull a 3-second gap on Cooney, but he will need to pull at least 6/10 now over Air Jordan. Although the way that they're going at the moment, that shouldn't be too difficult. As we see Track now closing up to Sienna Bob, looking it's not quite enough space for a move there, but he'll at least unsettle Sienna Bob coming round this corner now as Hamlin getting in on the action as well. And Track is actually close enough, goes up the inside, and this one's pretty much done and dusted, I think, before the end of the straight.
Absolutely. Sienna might try and fight this. Oh! Oh no,
He's
what's
off.
happened there? It looks like he's
Oh, and I'm not sure if that was a snap of opposite lock or something, but Hamlin is now right alongside Sienna Bob, looking to go all the way round, and I think he's done it.
Oh,
Oh, and
what
he's
a
tapped him.
move!
And in a move very similar to MJ Povey in Division 1, just goes all the way around the outside, except he didn't need the time advantage in that circumstance. Just give Sienna Bob a little tap. Not sure what happened to Track there. If he maybe a snap of oversteer.
Oh! And at the front of the field, Cooney tried to go around the inside of Adiman there, with a little bit of contact. It seemed like both cars were unscathed, and Cooney may have compromised his turn 4. Might try and make a move anyway up the inside. Has a look, and
Oh, and
oh! Cooney
Cooney's round.
spins!
And Cooney, oh, he's dropped now quite a lot of time. He's got Wrecker right behind him, who's probably going to go all the way around, and he does. And now Cooney is out of the podium places, and he has got a penalty as well. And he's not. Oh, but Wrecker makes a mistake there and allows Cooney back past.
Well, that's
He's going to have
definitely
to pull 3 seconds now to him if he wants to stay on the podium.
absolutely. Obviously Cooney getting a little caught up there. I'm not sure what happened. Possibly Addy not giving quite enough space on the apex, or just Cooney losing it while trying to force move up the inside. But whatever the case is, he's made the break, and he's honestly quite quickly recovered, making that decisive choice to get past Wrecker, and now can try and make a charge down back into the podium positions. But it's going to be a difficult job. Meanwhile, Adiman, the 2-second lead over Air Jordan, is not quite enough to offset the penalties. But without a DRS behind, it might be at a point where he can start to build gap without having to worry about being on a track from Cooney.
Yeah, Jordan will know now. He's just got to kind of keep it safe, not lose too much time, and just stay within those 3 seconds, and he will pick up the win himself. But he has been dropping back ever so slowly, 10th per lap or something like that, which after 10 laps will put him out of contention for the win.
That track, recovering after that incident earlier on, is fighting side by side with Gali. That was a fantastic battle through set to 1. That track is still going to have a little bit of a look, but cannot make the move stick. This tyres advantage not really hurting him that much. I'm not sure what the incident there was. It looks like the wheels kind of went straight on at one point, so possibly issues with controls or the wheel of some kind that led to a problem. But Natrad making a very good move through the end of the second sector. That is not an overtaking opportunity I was expecting, but he's got himself back up into the points. Because Dolly will have DRS to try and fight back, but that was a fantastic overtake with a tyre disadvantage. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been making these hard tires work, and I guess at some point, as Gali will come back at him, and they will fight again. And if he can stay right behind him, which it looks like he can, he will get straight back past. But it will be sort of
Oh,
maybe not now,
and
but
Hamlin and Cinnabop were fighting through turn 4, and Cinnabop has gone round, and that's lost him a few positions. And
oh,
there
and
we
even
go.
more there as Track gets past him as well, and so does Gali as they're fighting each other.
There's too many
Oh,
battles
that's
to
such a shame
follow
for
right
him.
now. It's incredible racing in Division 3 right now, as we'd expect from Division 3. Wow,
Yeah, it's
this
been.
is
I mean, it's been all up and down the field. It's quite difficult to keep track of. Um, as for the top runners, everything looks more or less the same. Cooney Skittles is slowly but surely pulling that gap to Wrecker. So podium certainly isn't off the cards for him. Wrecker, I don't know, maybe just not able to follow in the dirty air. Maybe it's something to do with the setup, or maybe it's just not quite used to the offset in aerodynamic grip.
Absolutely. And as we get towards the end of this race, it comes time to start considering driver of the day. We had a few strong performances. Obviously, a lot of the cars at the front so breaking away a little bit, but also Hamlin had a great run from low down the grid now from P7 and getting some really tight battles. Of course, had some strong shows as well. Like Natrat, who's qualified high and had a bit of trouble, but has made these hard tires work. And it's been quite fantastic to watch, actually.
Yeah, I would hesitate to give it to Air Jordan at the moment, given that we're still not sure if he will end up winning this race. He's gained 4 positions so far, and he is currently in position to win, assuming he can keep everything clean and not get any penalties.
Absolutely. I mean, Air Jordan is managing to hold about 2 seconds back here from Adiman. Actually picks up DRS from a back marker. Definitely very fortunate. Will help close it down just a little bit. It's something that Adiman had the benefit of earlier in this race, and now gets traded the other way, and his opponent a little bit of help to carve a lap down.
Yeah, I mean the car that is a lap down should let him past. I understand that ghosting is on, and that Air Jordan can just kind of go through him, but that is quite unsettling to do when you're in the middle of a race. And so the Haas driver, yeah, he might get a little bit of a telling off for that one. It's not lost him any time though. He's still 2 seconds behind Adiman in front. Cooney Skiddles has pulled that 3 seconds to Wrecker, so Wrecker now off the podium. Cooney Skiddles back onto the podium. He has technically gained a place, so he's had a bit of a rough time because he thinks he should be winning this race right now. But he is still in third, having gained a place from the start. So he'll certainly be proud of himself for that. As we look down, Iron again has been closing down that gap to Wrecker. Not quite quick enough.
Oh, and
Um,
feels like Gali has gone off at the exit of Puon. No, Puon? What am I talking about? Zhenzhou. And actually did end up resetting to track. I believe that's Codemasters doing this. A reason that we had to have ghosting enabled for this track for all of our divisions. Not something that is normally up to the stewards, but a weird quirk of this game showing his head there.
yeah, now that Knack Track has gotten past Sienna Bob, and I think Sienna Bob had a bit of a mistake, we are starting to see the field spread out a little bit more. We've got one driver at the moment who is within DRS range of another, and that is Lord Volt down in 14th on the back of Larzo. Larzo, previously a Div 1 driver, certainly has a pace for Div 1, but he's recently got himself a wheel and he's no longer using the pad. Is a little bit difficult to jump from one to the other, and I think he'll find it a little bit tricky at first. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be it wouldn't be unexpected for Larzo to end up at the end of the season being right there up on the podium.
Absolutely. I mean, the best way to get better at something like that is really to just get the experience of it. And seems like while his pace isn't quite there right now, with 12, 12 weeks of racing ahead of him, it could be one of these things that really pays off over time. While at the front of the field, looking for the win of today's race, Air Jordan is almost within DRS of Adiman. Might
Well,
try and
he
make
is
this move on
now,
track.
and I'm not sure if Addyman's made a mistake because the last time I checked, they were 2 seconds apart. Now they're 1 second apart. Addyman will get DRS off of the Ferrari in front of him. I believe that's the one goal, although I don't think he's driving. I think that would be the AI driving his car for him. And Air Jordan behind, I'm not sure. He did actually get DRS. So he will now be in DRS range of the Ferrari himself. He will get it down the straight, and the Racing Point will not get any DRS. And that should close 2/10 for Air Jordan. Should bring him up to about 7/10 at the end. Not quite, but he will be close enough now that he's got a bit of a breathing window. and still should be able to hang on to that DRS as they come around the next time.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing Air Jordan does need to keep in mind is that currently this position is only won on penalties, so he's made it 32 laps without picking up a penalty, but he's got to keep his nose clean for these final few laps. And if he's on 2 warnings right now, it could be the thing where he's got to not try and fight to get the position on track and just play the sensible game of holding on, you're in, and inheriting P1 in the steward's room after the race.
Well, you might be thinking, I'm on 2 warnings and there's a chance I'll get a penalty, so maybe I have to do this one on track. And he is close enough now to be thinking about making a move. Certainly not in this braking zone here, but if you can follow closely enough behind through the center S's, and you do get a lot of weight from the car in front,
That was
does
a good run.
unsettle,
That was a very good run. He
but he
might
is
have it here.
close enough.
He's
And he
almost
doesn't even
empty
need the overtake.
he's out of ERS in fact, so that might be a reason why he's not really had much to fight back with. But Addyman does have to see the position, and with 4 laps down this race, Air Jordan takes the lead on track. And with the penalty situation, that could be one that holds until the end of this race.
Well, that was actually pretty remarkable. I really didn't think he needed to do that. And to be honest, had I been in his position, I wouldn't have done that. But maybe he just wants to win this one on track. Maybe he knows that there's always a chance that he can pick up a penalty, be it during the race or even in the steward's room afterwards. So maybe a smart one if he's had any incidents already. It looks like he's pulling a little bit of a gap now to Addyman. Addyman will get the DRS to fight back with. But it'll be interesting to see if Air Jordan can open up the gap, maybe get himself out of DRS range.
Absolutely, then the run through the centre is going to be very crucial. Air Jordan got it well on the previous lap. It looks like he's got a good one again. Addy just been a bit late on the steering input for turn 3 there, and about 4/10 just in that one mistake alone. So that almost ends this race as it is. He started to pick up a time penalty in a battle with Gali for P12, but at the front, Air Jordan has kept it clean, and with no penalties and the lead on track, it's looking like he's going to be taking this race win.
Yeah, so as we look down the grid, we've got Air Jordan in first, Addyman in second, still fighting it out. Cooney Skiddles a bit in no man's land there. He will pick up the final podium position as it's another 3-second penalty. Wrecker in fourth. Arjan is actually closing up in fifth, but probably not enough in the last 2 laps to do anything about it. We've got Andrew Orthodox in sixth. Hamlin and Fuki are in seventh and eighth, but they both have 6-second penalties, which will drop them, I think, still in the points, as Sienna Bob has a 9-second penalty. So Knack Track looks like he will be finishing this one in seventh. Addyman nice and close to Jordan here, but just not able to follow. So I wonder if he's got maybe a lower downforce setup there than Air Jordan and just isn't able to follow through those center S's, and it's just affecting his car too much.
Possibly is only got one more chance to try and make a run through the centre S and hold as much speed as possible down that back straight, just to try and reclaim the lead on track, even if it will end up falling to Air Jordan once penalties are applied. But definitely for pride's sake, being able to cross the line first in your first race in this lead would definitely be a positive. But I think Air Jordan will be the one to take those honours. Anyman 7/10ths back, possibly a little bit too far back for DRS to make any real difference here. We might try and make a run anyway.
Yeah, here we go round one more time as they start the final lap. Air Jordan will lead this race round the first
Smoke from
corner.
lock-up. And Addyman
Oh,
might have a chance. Air Jordan's held him up a little bit through the centre S there, and Addy's not been able to get the run he needs. Because he does have a little bit of EOS out to play with. Air Jordan is pretty much out of energy, but it doesn't matter. He's managed to hold on to the position here. There's not a good chance to overtake between here and the end of the race, and even if he can make a move, it's not going to be 3 seconds of advantage.
Yeah, there's nothing that Addyman can do now. He's just got to run this race out. He had a really good race actually with Cooney Skiddles. Um, but unfortunately, he's just that penalty has really messed him up. And Air Jordan, being as quick as he has been, taking the lead of the race, keeping the lead of the race, it didn't seem like he's made too many mistakes in this race. Picked up no penalties, and as he comes around the last corner now, he will win the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Absolutely. It really has been a fantastic show from Air Jordan here. From a P6 start on the grid, just carving through the field and, most importantly, keeping it clean, not picking up any penalties, which could have been the difference at the end of this race. As it stands, they managed to hold the lead on track. And it's P1 for Air Jordan, Adiman, and Cooney Steels rounding out the podium.
Yeah, so the first six finish as they were on track. As we see now, Hamlin coming round, him and Fuki will drop the positions to Nakchak, who jumps up to 7th. Sienna Bob finishes in 10th, and I think he had 9 seconds of penalty, and Gali was 10.8 behind. So I think Sienna Bob will pick up the last point for the Red Bull, and indeed he does. Yes, but a great race for the two Renaults there, first and fourth, and a great
Absolutely.
win from Air Jordan.
And Air Jordan as well picking up the fastest lap on those medium tyres. So a total of 26 points for the lead Renault and another 12 for P4. 38 is going to be great both for the Constructors' Championship in the division and in terms of the Teams' Championship, which everyone in this lead is fighting for. Definitely a lot of happy smiles in France, that performance from the Renault team.
Well, the game seems to think that Air Jordan was the driver of the day. I can't disagree with it too much in this circumstance. What about yourself?
I think I'd have to agree, and the chat is even on our side as well. 55% of the vote going to Air Jordan there. And a good portion of that vote was open while Adiman still held the lead on track. So definitely a strong showing from Air Jordan picking up spoils from Brazil today. So the final order of the race, we have Air Jordan, Adiman, Cooney Steels rounding out the podium. Then from there, Wrecker, Aryan, Andrew Orthodox, Natrak, Hamlin, Booty 90, and Sienna Bob Nelio rounding out the points paying positions. Below that, Gali, Lazzo, Scods, Lord Volt, Lightbot, Wandall, and Turkey rounding out the field, the DNF. So, with that race now finished, we look to the other racing that's going on in the lead today. I believe there is one more that's currently ongoing. I will have to check. And yes, indeed, PC Division 5 is live right now. So I am going to send everyone over to twitch.tv/Harringzord, where we can watch the continuation of the team championship battle here in Brazil. So, from myself and from Mark, I bid you farewell. Good night.